Welcome to another edition of Real Estate Investor Talk. It's me, Neale Petersen, publisher and founder of Really Media, publishers of Real Estate Investor magazine. In this month's issue of Real Estate Investor Talk, I want to tell you about our latest new edition. This was our March edition, which was in an A4 format. Most of you that buy the printed copy would realize that our format has changed. Because we're moving with the times, we're moving into high-tech times, this is exactly the same size as an iPad. And the reason why we've moved in this direction is that it's a handbook for you as an investor. We've always have prided ourselves on our information that we've shared for investors for almost 8 years, right here in South Africa. And so we decided to change the format so people can take this printed version as a portable handbook that they could refer to. We've also been renowned for our stories, which are being cutting edge. The one which I showed you from our A4 size was the distress of the banks and the new ways of financing. And I'm going to be covering that a little bit later when I talk about the exciting event that we got coming up next week, starting in Durban and Cape Town and then in Johannesburg. And it pertains to this particular article and banking in South Africa, and more importantly, crowdfunding. The new way of financing property, which is really a different way of moving ahead. So let me get on to last month's key article, which is the shocking truth about property gurus. Now, for whatever reason, South Africa has been inundated with gurus of every single kind coming into South Africa. We've had gurus who are specialists in marketing, who are specialists in business, and in fact, there's been a flurry of these people that have just come into this country. What we've done is we've talked about the misconceptions about these experts out there in the marketplace. More importantly, that we actually uncover the lid as to who these people are. Are they adding any real value? And if you are going to work with them, what are the things to consider before I actually engage with a guru? Now, there's a number of really big name gurus out there that have been out for a long time. The change management specialists, the individual change specialists like Tony Robbins, for example, who's been around, and I've been around to these events all around the world, so I have a personal experience. And then there's property gurus. And there's a number. There's Robert Kiyosaki, who's top of the pile. There's Donald Trump, as everybody knows, he's a celebrity investor. There's Dolph DeRoos, and then there's a number of other Americans, depending, of course, which state they live in, tend to be the guru in that state. And in South Africa, we've had a lot of copycats, people that have copycatted the Robert Kiyosakis and that kind of stuff. And there have been a couple of good guys and bad guys who I actually personally know, and in fact, who we've actually covered in this particular magazine, either as our master investor and some of the people really have great value. But I'd like to put just a little bit of a message out there for those people that do want to engage, is to read this article first. This is in our April edition, in this new format, the first in our new format on that. Read about this first, because it'll give you some great insight if you should, why you should engage with this particular guru, who should help you to take your investment to the next level. There's so much talk about millionaires and billionaires and becoming to millionaires, and it's not only about that. It's also about how you build your portfolio, what you're actually building, what is the personal reason why you're doing it. Are you doing it to, for a legacy? Are you doing it just for money? What is the reason why you're investing? And we get right to the bottom of it. So it's in this edition of, whether it's on a digital format or on the website, in our April edition, which you can access immediately for free. But a lot of people like the printed version, and that's why we got this here. And then we come to our brand new edition, which is our latest edition, which is our May edition. And we talk about, as our headline article, the psychology of investing. And the psychology of investing is all about the mindset. 80% of investing has got to do with not the how to, only 20%, the psychology. And before you get into any investment, we really go into the throes of that psychology, which most of these property gurus like to go into. Most of them emanate from the book Think and Grow Rich, and have based their whole program based on that particular program. We go into the detail about that in this particular edition of Real Estate Investor magazine. Guess what we got for free with that edition? our Resi Guide, a hand guide for those people who want to buy property for the first time, giving you insider thoughts. So we get a 2-in-1 for $50 in print. It's in CNAs, exclusive books. Guys, go out there, buy it, get the latest edition. This is information that is not out there. It's not in your normal property magazines. This information is not in your newspapers. This stuff is really stuff which you can refer to on a continuous basis. So guys, get out there, get your latest edition. Now, as I said a little bit earlier on, the whole concept of investing is changing. And we are happy to announce that Dr. Roos is coming to South Africa along with RJ Polano, who I met when I worked on with IPS when they investigated the US market more than 2.5 years ago. And Dolph is probably, from an international investing perspective, understands world markets. He doesn't just understand America. He doesn't just understand Australia. He doesn't understand UK. He doesn't understand, so he understands them all. And there are very few property gurus, specialists who understand international markets. That's Dolph. And he's going to be right here in South Africa. And I worked personally with Dolph. I brought him out to South Africa the first time in 2008 and again in 2012. And he's coming back. And we're also going to be doing some property events that will follow with it. But what is here for this particular time round is the Global Property Summit. Guys, you cannot miss it. It's on the 13th of May in Durban. If you go to this particular ad, which says www.globalpropertysummit.co.za, you can do your bookings online. Okay, there's 3 different categories of prices with a whole lot of extras in for each of them. Then there's on the 15th of May in Cape Town, it's full day events from 7:30 to 5 in Johannesburg on the 20th of May. And really this is going to be something that is going to change investing in the world. And if you're not there to hear it first, you probably hear it a year later and say, I heard about that at this particular event. You can get into this, if you can get into this really early, you can certainly benefit from this. So I say, guys, get onto this event immediately. The host of IPS, I work personally with Scott Picken. I mean, Scott, as far as I'm concerned, understands offshore markets really well from a South African perspective. From South Africa, out into the UK, into Australia, into America. He's a specialist. He's one of the key hosts. And we've got RJ, who's coming down from Atlanta, even though he lives in Florida. But and then we've got Charlie Dombeck, who's a specialist in structuring and that kind of thing. And I'll be there too. I'll be there. So it's going to be a great event. It's going to be a great opportunity to talk about this. I just want to thank you for following us. Please go to our Facebook page. Keep communicating to us. Tell us how we can improve. And if I say to all of you, successful investing, and we'll see you there at the Global Property Summit event. Don't forget, see you then.